Hello, everybody, and welcome. So we're going to wait for a bunch of people to get in here before we start. Good afternoon, Rosie. Hello, Lady D. Brianna Baker. Hello. And thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all my American friends. Hello, everybody. Good to see everybody. So the presser is going to be starting in about 15 minutes, you guys. I've got it up and queued and ready to go as soon as they get going. But there's some other things that have come out that I want to share with you guys. Hello, Judy. Hello, Comptoot. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, so let me share this. Okay, so we're going to look at this first, you guys. This is a neighbor of the murdered University Idaho students describes crime scene location as a party house. So this is one of the next door neighbors that is speaking out. This looks like it's the building. If you're looking at the home that they were killed in, this would be to the left. He says, like something out of a movie is how a next door neighbor describes the mystery surrounding the recent murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Hello, Kim. Hello, Jill. Police have no suspect, no weapon, and no motive 8 days after somebody stabbed Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan to death inside their home near the school's campus in Moscow, Idaho. Many who live in the area have gone home for Thanksgiving break, but some neighbors who were still in town Monday recounted the night of the murders, which happened sometime between 3 and 4 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th. Hello, Ryan. This guy says, I went to bed early that night, and when I woke up to a bunch of normal, and then a couple of hours later, we got a message, and there was a bunch of police here, said Jeremy Reagan, third-year law student. And then that was the end of the normalcy for the past week or so here. Hello, Teeny. So this is looking inside of one of the windows of the home where the murders happened. Reagan is so close to the victim's house that I could throw a baseball from my front door and to the house. Couple Dakota Sparks and Heather Tetwiller also lived within a baseball's throw of the crime scene. I left for work at 11:45 in the morning, a.m. Sparks said, I never saw or heard anything the night before. I was up until 2 and never heard anything. So again, they're looking through one of the windows of the house here. Police say this is Kaylee and Maddie returned home at around 1:45 a.m. getting a ride from a private party after getting food from a food truck. Now, all those people that they were in contact with around that time have been ruled out. Now, Xana and her boyfriend, Ethan, returned home around the same time, coming from a fraternity party at Sigma Chi House, just 1.5 miles down the road. The 2 other roommates were already home sleeping by 1 a.m. Now, this is what I get confused with. Okay. Oh, so these must be the roommates that were in the basement. They were already there and sleeping. Now, I hear that they are also 2 females. A 911 call didn't come in until Sunday morning at 11:58 a.m., 10 hours after the victims returned home and 7 to 8 hours after police believed they were killed. The call came from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Now, I can verify that the 2 roommates that were in the basement that were unharmed were both females. They're also saying that there's no way that they could have done this to the other 4. They just didn't physically have the capabilities. Now, I think that was leaked, but Running Gray Wolf. Who is Jack and that of the two and that two of the girls were calling? We don't know who that is. I know one of their exes was named Jack, but Jack S. But I think he's been ruled out. I don't know. It hasn't been verified yet. So this guy here is saying, I was at work and the only thing I heard about was like the unconscious person. And then I didn't realize it had more severity till I got home and I could hear the clicking of the cameras. Neighbors say the house was often busy and loud. It's just been crazy just how quiet it's been. They always had little gatherings, so they always have music going. Reagan describes that house as a party house. So this is the front door, you guys, where the car's parked. This is the front door. I believe that the guy, whoever got in here, got in through the back sliding door, and I believe he came down, and this is just my opinion from my read. I believe he came through, he parked in the back in that upper parking lot for the buildings next door. That runs behind this house, right? There's also like the backyard of this place. There's a hill that kind of goes up and it's all treed. And then there's a parking lot up top there. That's where I think he came through. That's just my opinion based on my read. There were parties that were kind of loud, he said, as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom. I would just be walking by. I would look up and I would see people in the windows almost every night, probably 4 or 5 nights a week. There were a lot of people that went into and out of that house pretty frequently. So you guys that are just joining, this is a neighbor who is describing what they see at that house where the murders happen. Despite this, the neighbors Fox News spoke with say the victims were respectful and their social gatherings were typical of college campus. The University of Idaho is in Moscow, Idaho, a city 80 miles southeast of Spokane, Washington, with a population of about 25,000. The college town has had 0 reported homicides in 7 years. So that's some of the news, you guys, that I have found so far. Okay, let me just get this back up. So when this starts, it's slated to start in about 12 minutes, you guys. So I wanted to bring that to you guys. Also, just to squash any rumors, the roommates that survived have been ruled out. The guy that gave them a ride home, that gave Maddie and Kaylee a ride home, have been ruled out. He's been ruled out. The chip stand guy, the food truck guy, he's been ruled out. So they are still no closer to that we know, to knowing who this is. If you guys haven't seen my read, please go and see it. It gives a lot of information about the perpetrator. And I believe, like when we finally do find out what happened here, I pull cards. I've pulled cards actually about 2-3 times today. And it's still saying the same thing. So my sister's voice. Hello, hello. I believe that it was either Maddie or Kaylee that was targeted. It was one of those two. Yeah, and if he had known that those other 2 girls were in the basement, they would have probably been murdered too. But I've also heard, now this is not verified yet, but I've also heard that there was a door between the basement area and the second floor. So the basement area is basically, they consider the first floor. I hear that there was a door in between there and the second floor that could have been locked. That's why I don't think they got into the basement. I'm not sure if they have. Thank you, Running Grey Wolf. I appreciate that. I don't know if they have an idea of who did this, but I also had pulled some cards from my bumper deck, and they were like, wow, wow. I did get a couple of links to other information that is verified. So I did go in and read up after the read on a lot more. And I see now, I don't like looking at articles and that because I want an unbiased read done. But now I kind of wish that there was one or two of those articles with the police talking that I really wish I would have seen before the read, because then a lot more in my read makes sense now. Oh, I love you too, my dear. Thank you. Yeah, so we're going to see. We're going to see. What was that other one that I had done? Let me just go and check it here, you guys, while we're waiting. Let me just see here. Hang on. Yeah, the Michael Vaughn read. If you guys go back, if you go into my community tab, I did tag it in there about 7 days ago, the read that I did on Michael Vaughn. And if you go back and you listen to that read and then compare that, and that was done, what, a year and a half ago, when this happened, if you go back and you look at that read and then look at what's happened and what's come out, it was pretty much spot on. Yeah, if you go back and watch the Michael Vaughn one, and with what we know now, with what's come out, it's scary. Well, Faye, hello. Says, I think maybe somebody close by that could and was watching them. Maybe just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it's somebody that lives right there. I think that they live close by that area, but I don't believe for some reason, I'm getting trailer park. So I have to go to maps as soon as I got some time, but I keep getting trailer park too. So it could be just describing the person's character, like a trailer park trash type thing. And I'm not saying all trailer parks are trash, you guys, but it's just a saying. I keep getting trailer park. So I got that twice today. So I don't know. My sister's voice. Hello. Do you know if the dog being skinned in the neighborhood is true or false? I hear that there is some truth to that, but I don't think it's related. I can't even watch. There's a lot on there, my sister's voice, on Twitter about it. But I just can't bear to even look into that, because anybody harming an innocent, helpless animal that can't even fight back if they tried, or run out of the house or whatever if they tried, I can't. I just can't. Yeah, really sick. Not always Malphite, but pretty damn close, right? So also, you guys, just while we are waiting, we got 6 more minutes before this starts. I do have it up and ready. It's queued to go. So as soon as it starts, I will be clicking over for it for you guys. Another thing is Lalani had a court appearance. Bail was denied at this point because the judge that read the charges is not able to do a bail hearing. I guess she has to go to a different courtroom or have a different judge. I think this was just like maybe, I don't know. He couldn't hear a bail motion. So there's going to be another hearing for bail. She has pled not guilty. And the next court date for her is going to be January 11th, unless they get a date for a bail hearing. And so far, from what I understand regarding the Delphi murders, we don't know if that probable cause affidavit is going to be released yet. Yeah, I can't watch it. I just can't. Yeah. The Delphi murders, he's pled not guilty. The defense wants the probable cause released. They are also going for a bail hearing. They said that there was not enough evidence. This is what the defense is saying, that they don't feel that there's enough evidence in the probable cause to arrest him. Obviously, there is more than one person involved. I have not, what's the Masterson? I haven't heard about the Masterson case. Yeah, and then there was, I just put it on my community tab this morning, another mass shooting at a Walmart. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys. And apparently it was the manager of that Walmart. Hello, Crime Curious. Nice to see you, my dear. I did get your email, Crime Curious, and I am trying to get in there and help you out a bit there. I just, this last couple of weeks are just been through the roof. I have been catching up on, I'm not caught up yet, but catching up on the private reads. I think I'm into the ones that were requested in September, mid-September. So I am slowly getting caught up on them. Yeah, it's like the season for craziness or the retrograde or whatever that's going on there. It's like messing with people. Okay, you guys, we're 3 minutes out from this update from the Moscow Police Department. 3 minutes out. Yes, the days are getting very short. I do have all my outside decorations up, you guys. I'm so proud of myself. Christmas tree and all the other decorations still in the basement. I got to get on that. And if it's anything like last year, it's like I put the Christmas tree up in sections because it's a fake tree. And each time I got a section up, it's like, okay, take a break. And it'd be 2-3 days. So it took me like a week and a half from bringing it up from downstairs to finally having it all decorated and everything. It was like forever. So I better get on that. Especially, yes, with the days getting shorter. Hello, Brianna. I think you're spot on about it being someone that was obsessed with one of the girls. Yes, and I think it was Kaylee. That's just my guess right now. I haven't got that in the cards or anything, but that's what I'm leaning towards. But we don't know. I know somebody was obsessed with one of the ones that were upstairs, and I believe that was Madison and Kaylee. 2 minutes out, you guys. So this should be starting anytime. Like I said, as soon as it starts, you guys, I will pop over. I've got it up and ready to go. So as soon as it starts, we will bring it up on screen for you all to see. Hello, Deborah. Okay, here we go, you guys. Share screen, share audio. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Deborah, thank you as always for putting known facts out to us. And many healthful blessings for you and your family. Thank you. Same to you, Deborah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, there are. YouTube gets very grumpy. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It seems like it's nonstop. So they are getting ready here, you guys. This will be starting momentarily. I will mute myself when this starts. Can you guys hear it in the background? Because I got the volume up as far as it'll go.
The most important part of my job. I just want to let you guys know that there will be a question and answer time. We're going to try and extend it today to be a little bit longer, so that way more people have the opportunity to ask questions.
One in chat, please, if you can hear it.
And he does not know what organization you're from, and so this will so it's purely random. So please keep questions to one or two, and we'll try and get to as many people as possible. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, just give me a second, you guys. I got to run next door to my mom's for a minute. I just seen her package come.
Good afternoon. My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. Joining me today is Captain Roger Lanier with the Moscow Police Department, Moscow Deputy City Supervisor Tyler Palmer, Colonel Kedrick Wills of the Idaho State Police, University of Idaho President Scott Green, University of Idaho Dean of Students Blaine Eccles, and Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. We are thankful for all the tips and leads the public has provided in Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Madison's murder investigation. No bit of information is too small, and every tip will be pursued. So far, this information has helped investigators build a picture of the areas of interest and the relationships these four had with each other and our community. We still believe there's more information to be gathered, which will continue creating a window through which we view this case. We all want to understand why this happened and what drove someone to do this. The families of those involved and our entire community deserve to know. We ask anyone with any information related to what happened with these four who are in our community, their interaction with others, and whether they expressed concern or commented about someone or something strange to get that information to us. Even if you don't believe it is relevant, investigators will review and determine if and how your information builds the picture. Sometimes what a video or picture doesn't show is equally as important as what might be there. Information on how to submit tips and updates on the investigation can be found on the Moscow Police Department webpage. We continue moving forward to understand why this occurred in our community and seek answers to bring justice for the victims and their loved ones because they deserve it. I personally want you to know we care and we will continue to work hard to get these answers for these individuals. At this time, I'd like to introduce Captain Roger Lanier for an update on what we can currently share about this investigation.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Roger Lanier with the Moscow Police Department. I want to assure you first off that the loss of Xana, Kaylee, Madison, and Ethan remains the highest priority for the Moscow Police Department. We will continue putting all of our resources into investigating and solving these murders. Investigators are prepared to work through the Thanksgiving holiday to continue their efforts. I also want to express our sincere appreciation to the Idaho State Police, the FBI, University of Idaho, and the Latah County Sheriff's Office for their assistance. And I especially want to thank the community of Moscow for their outpouring of support through this incredibly difficult time. Today, I'm going to recap in brief what we know. I'm going to provide some new information, and I'm going to address some rumors. On the evening of November 12th and into the early morning hours of November 13th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. after visiting a local bar and a street food vendor. Ethan and Xana were also out in the community at Sigma Chi, and they arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. Two surviving roommates who were also out in the community arrived home at approximately 1 a.m. Later, on the morning of November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed. The call reported an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence, and a surviving roommate's cell phone was used. During that call, the dispatcher spoke to multiple people who were on scene. Moscow police officers responded and found two victims, two on the second floor and two on the third floor of 1122 King Road. The results of autopsies indicated that the four were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds, and there was no sign of sexual assault. We do not believe the following individuals were involved: the two surviving roommates, the male seen in a grub truck video circulating on the internet, a private party who drove Kaylee and Madison home, any of the individuals who spoke to the dispatcher on the 911 call. We're also aware of a male whom Madison and Kaylee had called several times the morning of November 13th, and we do not suspect that individual. Detectives have canvassed the neighborhoods looking for evidence, physical evidence, video surveillance, and they've contacted numerous residents to see if anybody may have seen or heard anything. They continue requesting tips that can be sent to our tip line or called in to our tip line. The specific areas that we're interested in are detailed on maps on our city website and our Facebook page, but as stated earlier, generally south of Taylor Avenue to Palouse River Drive and the area west of US 95 over to the Arboretum. We have heard mention that Kaylee stated she may have had a stalker. Detectives have been looking into that and to this point have been unable to corroborate the statement, although we continue to seek information and tips regarding that report. No suspects have been named or arrested, and we continue looking for what we believe to be a fixed blade knife used in the murders. We have not released the names of any of the subjects who spoke on the 911 call, and we have not released the call itself. Any online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Regarding the resources that we've put forth in this investigation, the Moscow Police Department has 4 detectives, 24 patrol officers, and 5 support staff dedicated to this investigation. The FBI has 22 investigators in Moscow and 20 additional agents assigned in various locations, as well as 2 members of the Behavioral Analysis Unit. The Idaho State Police has 20 investigators, a public information team, a forensic services and crime scene team, and 15 uniformed troopers who have been valuable in helping provide community patrols and safety patrols. We very much appreciate their support. This is our highest priority. It will remain our highest priority. We owe that to the families. At this time, I would like to introduce Colonel Kedrick Wills from the Idaho State Police.
Thank you, Captain, and thank you for those that are in attendance today for your attendance. We really appreciate this. What has affected Moscow and the community here has affected all of us as Idahoans. We have a way in Idaho that the communities come together in tough times, and this is one of those tough times. Leads from the community are important, and as the captain spoke, no tip is too small, and we would urge anybody that has any information whatsoever to please provide that to help us solve this case. The lead agency of this case is Moscow Police Department with Chief Fry and his dedicated team of professionals, and the Idaho State Police's role is to support them and their good work here. There is an awful lot of efforts going on behind the scenes, and I'll explain why it's behind the scenes in just a moment. But what can't be seen isn't always known of what we do in law enforcement, and I'd like to explain that in just a moment. But the Idaho State Police and the FBI continue to provide resources to this investigation. I would like to speak for just a moment, if I could, not about this specific case, but rather an overview of how cases are investigated, so that maybe it'll give some sense of the why of the timeline here. We understand you want answers. We want answers too. But these take time. And if I could explain just a minute about the process here of what we go through just generally in investigations. So we use in advanced investigative techniques and crime scene processing. So what happens when a call comes in, the original officers, the first officers that respond to a scene, and then once that they've got their work there and determined that they need some additional investigative assistance, then they call investigators to come and help process that scene. And oftentimes it requires a forensics team to help process that scene. And when I say process the scene, what we're looking for is we're looking for any evidence that may help us to be able to find the people or person responsible for what we're seeing. And so we're collecting biological evidence, we're collecting latent evidence, whether it's shoe prints or tire marks or anything like that. We're trying to collect that evidence. We're trying to correct, we do that through photographs, we do that through 3D mapping to be able to map the scene. We identify and we mark evidence, and then we collect that evidence. And then we look for any evidence that we think may be helpful. And once that is done, then we package all that evidence up and we send it off to forensics laboratories to be analyzed to see if it can help provide clues of what's happening. All of this takes an immense amount of time. The reason this is important to understand is because it's important that while this is such a tragic circumstance that we find ourselves in law enforcement, we believe we owe this to the surviving families to get this right. And so we're not willing to sacrifice speed for quality. We do testing for blood, we do latent print processing, any documentations for anything at the scene so that we can reconstruct that scene at a later date. If I could share just a few statistics of this particular crime scene. At this crime scene, we collected 103 pieces of individual evidence. We took approximately 4,000 photographs. We've conducted multiple 3D scans of the residence, and we have hundreds of hours used by technicians and investigators, including our forensics team and detectives from multiple agencies. We've processed over 1,000 total tips and conducted 150 interviews. I hope that you understand that gives a little bit of a perception of just how complex this case is. We have the utmost confidence in this investigation and that this investigation will be done right. We ask you and we ask the public to please remain patient as this investigation unfolds. And please rely on official sources of information. We really appreciate the media's assistance. We know you have a job to do. We know that you're professionals and you do it to the best of your ability. And we're thankful that you're here because without you, we could not get the correct information to the community that could help us solve this. So I can't overemphasize how much I appreciate and we appreciate in law enforcement your willingness to do this. What you are doing matters. And it matters in what we are committed to doing, and that is the best way we can think of to honor these victims and their families is to conduct this investigation correctly. Finally, I'd like to share that I've been in regular contact with Idaho's Governor Brad Little throughout this investigation. Governor Little is making available up to $1 million for expenses related to this ongoing investigation. As you heard, the resources that are here in Moscow and throughout with this investigation, you can see that those expenses would add up quickly. Like all Idahoans, Governor Little is deeply saddened by the loss of these 4 bright and promising young lives. And he's making sure the state of Idaho provides all of the resources possible to ensure that the person or persons responsible for this are brought to justice. And now I'd like to turn the time over to the University of Idaho President, Scott Green.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Green, President of the University of Idaho. We deeply appreciate the kind words of support we have been receiving from our alumni and friends, as well as many others who may not know us but have taken time to reach out. People are donating to the victims' GoFundMe pages and the Bruce Pittman Fund for Students in Need, and they're buying personal devices for our students and continuing to look for other ways that they can help. This is what it means to be a vandal. In the last 24 hours, we have sent updated communications to our students, employees, parents, and alumni, And in those communications, we discuss campus security, services available to our students and employees, our plans for both remote and live instruction to close the semester, and our plans for a candlelight vigil on November 30. All of this is available on our website. We all want swift justice and continue to work with law enforcement to aid them in any way helpful to their investigation. As the investigation continues, we will better know how to proceed in the new year. We will endeavor to find the balance among safety concerns, the need to grieve, and the long-term needs of all of our students and employees. Through everything we do, we will keep Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan, as well as their families and friends, in our thoughts and our prayers. Thank you. I'm sorry, I need to introduce Deputy City Supervisor Tyler Palmer. Tyler, sorry.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyler Palmer. I'm Deputy City Supervisor with the City of Moscow, and I'm here today on behalf of Mayor Arthur Betke, the Moscow City Council, and Moscow City Administration. The loss of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan has sent an overwhelming, palpable wave of grief, confusion, sorrow, and anger through our peaceful community. Mayor Betke, with the support of our City Council, has instructed staff to marshal all necessary resources for our law enforcement professionals as they diligently work to assure the safety of every member of this community and find the person or people responsible for this. The outpouring of support, kindness, and genuine empathy locally and even globally has been a humbling reminder that those who want to help far outnumber those who want to hurt. And we take some solace in that. To all of you who've reached out, sent letters and cards, provided food for those working around the clock on this investigation, and offered other resources, we thank you sincerely. These continued acts of charity and humanity remind us why we live in this tight-knit, caring community. The City of Moscow is committed to seeing this investigation through to a successful end and will continue to dedicate whatever resources are necessary for that effort. We are thankful for the immense support from the University of Idaho, Lake County, Governor Little and his office, the Idaho State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Moscow is my home. And I know we won't be defined by tragedy, but how we respond to it. We mourn the loss of these beautiful young people, and we will relentlessly pursue justice on their behalf. Thank you.
So we would like to open it up to any questions, but I would like to ask if there's an Argonaut reporter here that would like to ask. And then second after that, an Evergreen reporter, if there's one in the room. So let's start with the Argonaut, please.
James Torman Aldrich with the Argonaut. I have two questions, if that's all right. Firstly being what the police presence is going to look like after Thanksgiving break and how long that's going to last.
So I'll go ahead and answer. The police presence is going to be very heavy after the break. We have Idaho State Patrol that will also still be in the area, and you'll see a high impact of patrol officers and troopers, as well as Lake County Sheriff's Department personnel in the area.
And then secondly, will there be any possibility of the release of the 911 phone call, even in transcript form?
Not at this time. That's part of our investigation.
Frankie Beer, the Daily Evergreen. I guess the Moscow PD press release mentioned looking into hundreds of pieces of information about Kaylee's potential stalker. I was wondering what led you to believe she did have a stalker possibly, and why those pieces of information haven't come up with conclusive results.
I'm actually going to let Captain Lanier answer this question, okay?
Thank you, Chief. We obtained information through some of our interviews that Kaylee had made some comments about a stalker, so that's where that came from. We have followed up, looking at specific time frames in specific areas of town. So far, we have not been able to corroborate it, but we're not done looking into that piece of information.
Dan Springer, Fox News. If I can get Captain Lanier. Sir, why not tell the public who the target was? You've said that this was a targeted attack. Why not tell the public who was targeted? If it was multiple people, it would go a long ways to telling the public what you're looking for and who you're looking for, the type of person you're looking for. Why not do that to alleviate some of the fears out there in the community?
Well, first and foremost, we have the integrity of the investigation to preserve. And we feel like that information is integral to us and how we conduct our investigation. Releasing that to the public may or may not flood us with a lot of information that's not relevant or specific to what we're looking at. So we do want more information, but we don't want to we don't want to put our investigation in jeopardy by releasing what we have. There's always a balance between what you're willing to release versus what you're trying to gather. We told the public very clearly from the beginning that we're looking for a knife. We've told the public very clearly from the beginning that we believe it was a targeted attack. I mean, to be honest, you're going to have to trust us on that at this point because we're not going to release why we think that.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting. I see that the FBI set up a special web page just to collect digital information. I'm also curious if any of the investigators can speak to this. Curious if the Wi-Fi hotspot has been tapped at all. It's possible if the suspect had their phone on them, it may have pinged off the Wi-Fi in the residence. Has that been checked on at all?
As I stated, our investigation is looking at every avenue of every piece of evidence that we can. The FBI has given us a website for any downloads of video or anything. So we ask people if you have any of that to send it to us, please.
Thank you. Natasha Chen, CNN. I have a couple of questions here. One, in many homicide cases, the first hours, the first days are so incredibly crucial. Now that we're moving into a window that's further and further away from the incident, does that concern you about the ability to arrest a suspect, or do you have information that you simply can't share with us that makes you confident that you're close to solving this?
I'm going to have the Colonel step up and address that, please.
Well, thank you for the question, and I would like to address it a little more globally than specifically. A little more globally here. Yes, as time goes on, I mean, we're time past the initial calls for service and the initial crime. However, we also, as time goes on, are able to process the forensics evidence, any forensics evidence that we may have collected, and so that helps us. And we're also able to process the tips that continue to come in, which may help us. And so, while time in one respect is not beneficial, in another respect it is, because it helps provide us with that whole picture of with all of the information that we're gathering, whether it's evidence or tips or any other information that we're gathering, it may help us to provide a clearer picture. And so it may help answer those questions that we're seeking as well.
Hi, Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. I was wondering if there's any evidence that suggests the attacker visited the first floor where the two surviving roommates were.
That information will not be released at this time. It's part of our investigation. And as we stated earlier, there's many things that are involved in investigation that we will release and things we won't.
Good afternoon, Ashley Soriano, Fox News. I have two questions. Have you considered the possibility of a murder-suicide? Is that something that you guys are considering right now?
That question has been asked previously, not at a press conference. It's certainly something that we looked at in the early part of the investigation. It is not something that we're looking at this time.
And I know some of the investigators' vehicles and police vehicles are coming in and out of the driveway. Do you think that potentially could disturb any tire marks or other evidence?
Yeah, so the question has been asked about why did the crime scene tape expand, and that's not uncommon. When the first officers arrived, they tried to cordon off what they thought was important. We immediately expanded that when the investigators got there to process the scene. And logically, as this progresses, and you've seen this through our press releases, we have expanded it to several areas of the city and have in fact canvassed entire neighborhoods. So we try very, very hard to uncover every single bit of evidence possible in an area before we move on to the next area. So yes, we've looked at everything that we think we need to look at in and around the crime scene at this point. Well, it's a gravel parking area, so it would be hard to say that.
How are you folks holding up? How are your detectives and officers holding up? And Chief, you mentioned that detectives are prepared to work tomorrow on Thanksgiving. So is the expectation that they will be?
That is correct. We're going to have many detectives and agents working all the way through this incident. Our people are dedicated. Our people care about this community. Our people want to ensure the community that we're here to bring safety and we're here to get a resolve on this. So we will continue to push through. We'll give people time off as they need it, and we will continue to take care of them. But we're gonna keep pushing on this until we come to a conclusion.
Chris Mitchell, KLEW. Is there any plans to increase security for the Apple Cup on Friday?
I can't speak to what's going on in the state of Washington. I can only speak to what we're doing here on the campus of the University of Idaho in concert with President Green and his team. We are absolutely, with the Idaho State Police and the Moscow Police Department, we are 100% dedicated to making sure that this continues to be a safe place for students to do what students need to do. And so that's why we have so many uniformed troopers here that aren't necessarily assisting with the investigation, but rather here to help with the campus security. And President Green and his team have been fantastic in helping to strike that balance to make sure that we have law enforcement resources here. So while I can't speak what's going on anywhere else, I can tell you at the University of Idaho, we have a lot of state troopers and a severe increase of state troopers and Moscow police officers here, both on campus as well as throughout the community.
John Gabell, ABC News. Are investigators looking at any possible connection to an unsolved double stabbing in the Salem, Oregon area about a year and a half ago? Specifically, 2 people stabbed in their home in the middle of the night, long knife, no suspect at this point. One died, one survived.
I think we're looking at every avenue, and we have other agencies reaching out to us with other cases and stuff that we are doing follow up on, and we will continue to follow up on those.
Are you aware of that case?
Actually, I had a tip come in on that case, and I forwarded it to our tip line.
Okay, one more question. Can you confirm the bodies have been released to the families or are being so released today?
I believe they have been released to the family, and I know that I believe one of them has already had a funeral.
Destiny Martin with the LCSC Pathfinder. Can you lend any insights into the possibility that the murder weapon is linked to the ROTC program? And also, you mentioned that the analysis unit is here. Will we be able to hear anything from them about a working profile they possibly have? And on that note, have you guys ruled out the possibility that the killer might be a female?
So we look at every avenue. We're looking at every group of people. Like I said early in our first press conference, we're not going to let any stone go unturned. I believe can you just clarify your second portion of that question? Oh, the BAU, sorry.
Yes, I would like to know if the BAU has a working profile, because, you look at victimology. Sure. Are you able to tell us who was killed first on the time of death so that we may understand, like, if it was a targeted attack, it would make the most sense if they killed one of the roommates first and then maybe the other 2 I know
Sure.
this is not speculation, I'm getting off topic. My question is are you guys looking at a working profile? Have they come up with anything new regarding the motive or intentions of the killer or killers?
The BAU unit is working diligently to do what they do. Will that be provided? I'm sure that may be provided once the conclusion of this case comes together. But they are continually taking in information, reading reports, and gathering information for that.
Good afternoon, Chief. Amanda Rowley with Crime 2. Seeing some speculation with some of the cars being searched this past week. Wonder if you can squash some of the rumors and that speculation. Is there anything you can share specifically on the white car out front? And then a follow-up for the university.
So I'll have Captain Lanier go ahead and come up with that.
Thank you.
Well, we have looked at a lot of different vehicles. I'm assuming you're referring to the vehicles that were in the parking lot at the time. Yeah, so some of those vehicles belonged to the victims and some belonged to other people in the house. And so for us, that's part of the crime scene. As I mentioned earlier, the crime scene was expanded out through the parking lot. So we wanted to make sure that we looked at those prior to releasing the crime scene. It was part of the initial investigation that night.
Thank you. And for the university, is there any additional information at this time that you can offer about the candlelight vigil, maybe what we can expect from that? And then any other information you can provide about that ask of the community to light the night on November 30th?
Thank you for that. I'm going to turn this over to Blaine Eccles at this point. He's actually planning the whole event. So we appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm Blaine Eccles, Dean of Students. The vigil is going to be hosted next Wednesday, November 30th at 5 p.m. We have it scheduled for the administration lawn at the moment. We're going to make a final determination on location early next week, just because we're waiting for the weather window to get closer, so we feel comfortable that that's where it will be located. We're anticipating a large turnout of community members as well as university members, students, faculty, and staff at that particular event. And all of the families have been invited to join us if they so wish from that aspect of it. The response has just been absolutely beautiful and overwhelming to the love that has been provided to the institution as well as the family members. The Light the Night event that you're talking about, while I don't have a lot of details on that, is set to coincide at the same time, just so that people that can't be here in person as part of the vigil are going to be able to participate remotely as well. The vigil will be live streamed, and it's safe to say that the Vandal family is going to unite and come together to support the families in the darkest moments of their life, quite frankly.
So I'm going to go ahead and take two more questions, Kay.
Jordan Smith, KXLY. At this point in time, do investigators know which entrance the suspect used to enter the residence? If this was someone who might have known the door code at the front or maybe used the back door?
Once again, that's part of our investigation. We're not going to release that information this time. Thank you.
No, Baltimore News 8. You said this was a targeted event. You won't tell us why they were targeted. What should students do to prevent being targeted in the future?
Well, that's a great question, especially in light of what just happened. If you would have asked us 9 days ago, we would have had probably a different answer. Moscow's always been a very safe community. In light of this, and maybe we should always look at it this way, vigilance, always traveling in pairs, knowing where you're going, telling someone when you arrive, and just that kind of general awareness. Maybe we should, as a community, have always been doing that. You know, in some ways, this took our innocence. I would tell students that you need to stay with a friend. I know that the university staff is looking at different options to increase some of the safety on campus and providing certain options to students. So yeah, going forward, there's a lot of things that maybe we wish we would have done before, but we need to start doing now.
So I'm going to go ahead and close, but what we do want to let our community know that we do care. We do want to provide a safe environment. We will continue to work hard and we'll continue to do everything we can. We want people to be vigilant. We want people to report anything suspicious to us and let us get there and handle it. But we are here to provide that safety. So I want to thank you today for coming, and I appreciate your questions.
Okay, you guys, so there we have it. Not really much more. So not really much more than what we did have already. A lot of the questions they're not going to answer. I was sitting on the edge of my seat when the one reporter asked about which door they went in, because I do believe they went in through the back. I believe that they came through the wooded area down that little hill from the parking lot above and in through the back, and that's how they left too. There's also a driveway that goes between that house and the buildings next door. I think that the guy took off through there. And I don't know, really not much. They did hit on a point that came out in my read also, is that to be vigilant and to report anybody who is acting strangely. So like if there is somebody who used to go out to the bar every Wednesday and Thursday or Friday, Saturday, whatever, and they're not doing that no more. Somebody who all of a sudden is not going to be returning to class. Somebody who has recently quit their job and taken off. Stuff like that, like out of the ordinary, are going to be really interesting if anybody comes forward with stuff like that, because whoever did this is going to drastically change their day-to-day life and their behaviors since doing this. So those are things that are, you know, very important. If you see somebody not quite acting themselves, that, you know, usually is outgoing and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden they just don't want to be around anybody, and they're, you know, quitting their job or quitting school or stuff like that, those things are all indicators of something happening, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody that just up and quits their job and takes off, you know, is a killer. But I think surrounding this time that this happened, anybody that does act out of the ordinary should really be looked at and at least cleared, right? Running Grey Wolf says, Willow, I wish law enforcement could see your videos. I do believe that there are some of my videos that have obviously been seen by LE, because I have been chit-chatting with somebody on the Michael Vaughn case, on the Quentin Simon case, and those are two separate people from two separate police departments. So I do believe, I think somebody in the comments had said that they had sent my video to them. I don't encourage that. If they want to see my videos, or, you know, somebody says something about maybe something that came out that clicks in my video, that's good, I guess. But I just don't, I don't know. That was terrible. They added absolutely nothing new. They did, but they didn't. You know what I mean? They didn't answer a lot of the questions because it's going to be part of an investigation. They probably have a profiler by now. That profiler has probably already given what they think of whoever did this and gave them their profile. Is that male or female? They're not going to release that at this point because they don't want the person, you know, being spooked, right? Oh, thank you. Yes. And like I said, I wish that I had seen some of these videos before I did my read, because there was some things in my read that were kind of like, I know it's connected, but how is that connected? It's connected from what I'm seeing in my cards, but there was more information that was out there that would have probably let me narrow down things a little bit more. They know who their suspect is and probably waiting for them to crack, also to protect their family and community. I don't know if they know who did this. If they knew who did this, they would already be arrested. Now, they may have a profile from the profilers, probably gave them a profile of who they should be looking for. And it's going to be interesting when that does come out. Yeah, I will be doing an updated read on this case, you guys. I said that I wouldn't, entertain that unless something new came out or whatever. I am pulling cards daily on this case. And if I'm pulled to do more, I do. I think I've done 2 or 3 pulls today just on this case alone, because I got certain feelings in that. But as soon as I feel compelled to do that second read, I'm going to do it. I wanted to maybe do it today or tomorrow, but today and tomorrow I'm really, really busy. So I may be able to get the read done, but to get all the information in it and get a thumbnail done and all that stuff, I may not be able to do that for a couple of days because my schedule is just so busy, you guys. But I will get that ASAP. The date timestamp will be on the video. So if I was to do it today, it would be time date stamped today, even if I don't put it out for a day or two. But yes, I will be doing an updated read on this because there is other things that I have feelings on. And I haven't heard any answers to that come out in any of these. Nothing in today's press conference and nothing that I have seen has spoken of that yet. So I want to see if that comes out in the read again itself. So I don't think they've released any of the crime scene photos from inside yet. I'm in Boise, Idaho, and was watching on local TV station, and we saw a video of the crime scene from the local station alongside the speakers while they were speaking. I know they haven't released any of the crime scene photos yet. Maybe like the outside of the house, there's one where you can see blood running down the outside of the wall. That was from the second floor bedroom where Ethan and Xana were. But other than that and the outside of the house, I haven't seen any crime scene photos being released, and they would not release those until the probable cause affidavit would be released, I would assume. But I know the inside photos would not be released at all. If they are released, it's going to be a couple, enough to get their probable cause once they have a suspect. Some of them may be in the probable cause affidavit, but the 99% of them will not be released probably until court. Yeah, they did speak about the cars belonging to the roommates that were in the parking lot have been looked at. So, but I'm anxious. I was waiting for that answer as to which door they feel that they got in through, because my read from what I've got, I think they came in through the back. Like there's a parking lot. If you look at the back of the house where them sliding doors are, there's like a hill kind of lake that goes up to another parking area for the buildings next door. I believe that's where the perpetrator parked, came down that side of the hill there and in through the back door. That's what I think. And when he left via that parking lot between the house where the murders occurred and the apartments next door. I think he left through that way. And I was getting, when I did my pulls today, I was getting something about a trailer park. So I don't know how that fits in, but that's just something I got. So that's why I'm saying, yes, I will be doing an updated read. And I will also be going to maps and mapping, maybe a train read, to see maybe where this guy has gone, which way he has gone. But I don't want to speculate on what's going to come out until I actually do that read. Yes, me too. Those 2 that lived, that were not injured, that lived there, I cannot imagine right now what they're kind of feeling on that, because it must be going through their heads like they could have been murdered that night too, right? You've got all your other roommates that live in that place with you that were murdered, and you guys are the only survivors. I do know you guys, and I think it was a slip. One of the officers slipped it, that they were 2 females that were in the lower apartment. So there was a lot of speculation out there saying it was another male and female. No, it was, I believe, 2 females. And I don't know, maybe they looked in a room and figured, oh, they wouldn't wake up. Like, did they go to the door and start screaming one of their names or something? And they didn't wake up. I don't know. And call in friends like, oh my God, get over here. There's something wrong. I don't know. But they haven't released any of that yet either. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of survivor's guilt there. So, okay, you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. Let you guys get back to doing what you were doing. I've got to get some dinner. I shouldn't even be eating this late, but I'm going to have to make myself some dinner. I've been running all day, you guys. But I wanted to bring this to you. So at least we got to see that. All the rumors and everything now can be squashed. I'd heard a lot too. Oh, they were bound, they were gagged, they were this, they were that. And it's all like, where'd you hear that? That it could have been one of the other males that showed up after. And oh, there's just so much going around out there, you guys. And that's why I don't allow it here. Verified information only, unless I say to you, like, this is what I think from my read. Anything else, I won't entertain, because it's just, people trying to get attention or something. I don't know, but I would rather have the verified information, and that's it. Okay, so let's see what we're going to have to wait and see, you guys, what comes out in the next, hang on a sec, you guys. Just give me 2 seconds, please. Okay, so we're going to have to wait and see what comes out in the next press conference. Okay, Amy, we're not going to leave that there. We don't know if they're the girls that were in that photo, so sorry, but I removed your comment. Does my gift seem to increase as I utilize it? I mean, there's only so far you can go in it, right? Like, I do the initial reads, and then when I go and I look at information that is verified, like from police, like what we just see now, and I compare that to what my read has said, it gives me more insight. So what it does is, when I'm reading something and a card comes up that to me, I'm either not getting information on, or I'm not understanding. I understand why it's there, but I'm not understanding how it correlates. It gives me a bit more insight. So the more that you meditate on it, the more that you do the reads on it, the more that you do card pulls on it, the more information that you're given. So I guess that's the best way I could answer that. Okay, so for right now, you guys, my roommate is trying to come down and make himself, I guess, some dinner or something. So I'm going to wrap this up. If anything else comes out, you guys, please keep an eye on my community tab. I put a lot of information out there instead of just jumping on a live. If it's just something that can be dealt with in a post, then I do post it there. So Lalani, for off topic here, Lalani is back in court on January 11th. There will be another hearing that's upcoming for a bail hearing. Don't know the date for that yet. So that is coming up. And I'm keeping a record. I'm keeping a check on all the records for the Delphi murder cases, because we're waiting on the judge to give his order whether he's going to release that probable cause affidavit too. If he does, I'll go live with it so I can bring that to you guys. Also, I'm going to be trying to fit in an updated read on this also. Thank you, Gray Running Wolf. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lady D. Thank you, Hearts. Thank you, you guys. I love you guys. Thank you, Rosie. And thank you for being here, Rosie. Okay, so with that being said, you guys, I'll let you guys get going. Go get your din, whatever you need to do. And if anything else pops up, I will be bringing it to you. I will try and keep you up to date the best I can. A cup of tea with poetry. Ah, I love your name. I love that. Well, thank you for being here. I'd love you to do a video on the suitcase Unilever Sarah Boone. I've never even heard of that one. So Lolani was denied bail right now. It's only because the judge that read her charge is not able to do a bail hearing. She has to go in front of a different judge and a different courtroom for a bail hearing. And he wasn't able to do it. That wasn't a bail court. So that's why she didn't get bail right now. She hasn't been denied bail. She's just been denied the bail hearing, which has to be scheduled with a different judge in a different courtroom. Okay. So I do believe within the next week or so, there will be a bail hearing for her. Okay. Okay, you guys, with that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate you guys. And until the next time, please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Love you to the moon and back. Bye-bye for now.